You've created 5,000 videos in the last 2 years. That is a lot. How do you find the topics for your videos?
Yeah, I think I'll start by saying I think when we think of the topics for videos as individuals, a lot of times we think that we have to consistently come up with new topics and new ideas. And when I looked at people who, particularly within the business to business space, so outside of the entertainment arena, so I'm not talking about YouTubers like Mr. Beast or like, Logan Paul or Jake Paul, those guys. When I look at people in the B2B space who are big name, big creators, I think of people like Gary Vee. I know like Alex Hormozy has joined the scene, Cody Sanchez. You have these like influencers, and one thing I've noticed, and I just noticed with looking at a lot of these people, is they actually kind of say the same stuff a lot, and they repeat, and they just say it in different ways. Sometimes they even say the same exact thing. And I think really quickly I realized the reason you can do this is because in our mind we think all that person's watching that day is our video, and that they're somehow going to remember it. What I found is we don't really remember individual videos from people per se. We just, as a whole, know them. And so my topics, like, and with that being said, it doesn't mean you just have to have one topic, but I've built my topics around recruitment, career, and then corporate. And so, and then, if I was to break those topics down, I'd say corporate, we might have remote work, might have like flexibility, trust within the workplace, so like corporate politics. Maybe there's some advice in there. And then career, or sorry, job search and career, we're looking at resumes and like interview tips. And then recruitment, we might look at ghosting, or best practices, or some humorous types of ways to work with hiring managers. So kind of like have broad topics and then break those topics down into smaller segments. But I do not stray away from those topics. With the exception of on LinkedIn, I'll occasionally post things about my personal life, occasionally. But if you look at any of my video platforms, I don't really talk a lot about my personal life. Maybe on Instagram, I do some stories that are personal because people seem to like those. But I just stick with those topics. And then I say a lot of similar things and then just try and say those things in different ways. But that helps with the creation process because then I'm not constantly feeling that pressure to reinvent the wheel or come up with something new, which I think can be a challenge, right? Because if you're 10 videos in and you're feeling like, oh, I've got to talk about something new, that you have limited, if you niche down and you have topics, then there's just going to be limitations with that.
Yeah, I always tell people when I talk to them about like this and they ask me about how to get ideas, it's like the best videos, your best content is actually the stuff that you're absolutely bored of talking. Like, you're doing good when you yourself are like, oh my gosh, I have to talk about this again. But the truth is, no one remembers it, really. Like, even people who watch all of your videos or everything, you say the same thing in a different way and no one and everyone's like, "Oh, I love this. I love this." So,
Well,
yeah,
we
that's
we really overestimate the impact of our own content a lot of the times. And again, one of the most common things I get is, "Oh yeah, I've seen some of your content. Oh, I like that meme you shared the other day." And I'm like, "You've reduced all of my 5 years of work of content to a meme." But that's just the nature of the world that we live in, and you're not just battling against, or I shouldn't say battling because I don't like to use that terminology, but you're not just out there on an island by yourself. You're competing against other people on the platform for attention. You're competing against Netflix, right? You're competing against the news. You're competing against LinkedIn games, LinkedIn news. There's a lot of competition for attention, and because of that, I think about advertising. With this, it's like, well, Toyota has the same commercial. They'll play the same commercial for 2 months straight. There's a reason for that, and it's because they're anticipating that people aren't going to really remember it, and they need to reinforce the ideas. And so, understanding that, I think it takes off a lot of pressure as well, and it's just helpful to know that, because again, I think when people, that's one of the big things that holds people back, right? Is just, what am I going to talk about? So I think relieving yourself of that is huge. And then the other question then is like, well, where do you get the time for that? And again, it's you get better the more videos you get. Like, at first it took me a long time, and then video 3,000, you get 3,000 into it. Now I'm at a point where I can create 10 videos in 20 minutes because there's not
wow.
as much going back and editing. I know what I'm going to say. I say it, and that's it. Whereas at the beginning, it was, a little bit, for a 5-second video, I might spend 20 minutes making it. And so then that kind of becomes a cheat code, because the more you do, the better you get. And you can't skip that process either.
Yeah.